I was doing press for WrestleMania, and I did the Jimmy Fallon show, who's the very popular presenter in the States. Maybe he's the equivalent of, I don't know. Graham Norton. I was just going to say that. I was going to say Alan Partridge. Is that Nailed it. But I did the show, and Jimmy's always great. We always have a good time. And afterwards, I was kind of hanging out in his producer's office, and I saw the list of guests that were coming up. And on Monday, I saw that Keith Richards was going to be on the show. And I was like, man, like, that's really cool. And he's like, oh, yeah, Keith's the greatest guy. Like, he's super nice. He's super friendly. As a matter of fact, if you can be here on Monday at 5 o'clock, I'll introduce you to Keith. And I'm like, Jimmy, is this some kind of Hollywood, like, are you telling the truth here? He's like, yeah, if you be here at 5, I will totally introduce you to Keith. I'm like, dude, this is a huge Stones fan, super excited. Only problem is that Monday Night Raw was in New Jersey at the Meadowlands Coliseum, which is only about 10 miles away as the crow flies from downtown, from Rockefeller Center, Manhattan. But if it's traffic, it could take you 3 hours. And Raw obviously starts at 8. And I could possibly not be there on time. If it takes a while to meet Keith, I don't know what's going to happen. So I'm like, okay, well, I can get a car and leave at 4:30 and have him drop me off at 30 Rock. And then when I'm done, the car will be waiting. I'll get the car, come back. But what if there's traffic? So I went and asked one of the writers, can you put my segment later on in the show, just in case I'm late? And he's like, well, I would do it if I could, but that's Vince's call. I mean, I can't change the segments. It's up to Vince. And I'm like, oh, fuck, like, I gotta go tell him now. Like, I was gonna originally just try it and just do it, and whatever happens, happens, but now I can't do that. I have to now go turn myself in, basically, and tell him what my plans are, and kind of leave it up to what he decides. So I go up to Vince, I'm like, Vince, I gotta tell you something, man. I got an opportunity to go into the city, to go into Manhattan, and meet Keith Richards. And he's like, I've never met any of the Rolling Stones. I had the opportunity once, but I was late. And that's what he was doing, looking up here. And something you gotta know about Vince is that he loves the Stones and he loves AC/DC. Those are his two favorite bands. To the point where one year at the WrestleMania party, he hired a tribute band that played half Rolling Stones songs and half AC/DC songs. Which I thought was awesome, but like the other 90% of the crowd was like, there's no dancing in this thing tonight. So he's like, listen, you gotta go meet Keith, but listen, you need to be back by Raw. And I'm like, well, can you move my segment later? Like that way, just in case, I'll be there, but just, can you put it a little bit later on? And I was just doing a run-in on Fandango, so it wasn't like I had a match or I had to really go over anything, which was also very lucky. And he goes, listen, I can't guarantee I'll move the segment back, but either way, you can't me on this. That was literally his line. You can't me on this, Chris. You got to be back in time for Raw. I'm like, Vince, I will hire a helicopter if I have to. I will be back in time for Raw by hook or by crook. Whatever I can do, I'll do it. So he goes, go ahead. So I get in the car, I go down to 30 Rock, I get there at 5. I wait for Jimmy in the green room, and Dennis Rodman was in there telling a story about how he was hanging out with Kim Jong-il. And got Kim to call Obama on the phone. And I'm like, what the is happening here? Dennis Rodman saved the free world. He's a big, giant NBA guy that used to have purple hair and dress like a woman, for those of you who don't know. So then Jimmy comes in, he's super like, hey, Dennis, how you doing? Chris, he's ready, let's go. And I'm like, okay, see you later, Dennis. You might have saved the free world, but you don't get to meet Keith Richards. So I go into this room, and there's like a little wee green room, and there's a hallway here, and I turn the corner, and right there, they're standing right there, Keith Richards. And you ever like meet somebody that you've just seen him so much that you can't believe he's actually real? You know, like me? Oh my God, how pretentious was that? And I just couldn't believe it. He's standing there, he's got tons of wrinkles, headband, the hair's up, the ears are sticking out. He's wearing a shirt with the sleeves rolled up and it says, "I only do the stuff to stop the bleeding." That's what his shirt said. It really did. And Jimmy's like, "Hey, Keith, like, I wasn't sure you were in here. I couldn't smell any cigarette smoke." And he's like, "Oh, Jimmy, I just got this ashtray. You put the cigarette on top of the ashtray, it sucks the smoke down, man. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen." And I'm like, thinking to myself, my grandma had one of those like in 1978. This is not new technology, Keith. And then he's like, "Jimmy, I brought some soda from Jamaica for you. Here you go. Would you like a Jamaican soda?" And then he's like, "Yeah, sure, I'll have a Jamaican soda." And Keith never offered me a Jamaican soda, so whatever. I'm still pissed off about that. I always wondered, what does Jamaican soda taste like? So anyways, Jimmy's like, "Hey, Keith, this is my friend Chris Jericho. He just wrestled yesterday at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey." And Keith's like, "Far out, man." And I know he's thinking like, "Oh, you wrestled in a stadium, did you? Good for you. Come back and talk to me when you've played 1,000 stadiums like I have." So he was super nice and cool, and then, you know, I get into my little fan mode, and I start asking Keith questions. And I had just seen a pay-per-view that the Stones had reunited a few months before that. And it was a paper that was actually produced by Vince McMahon. It was kind of a cool thing. And I said to Keith, like, they had this all-star jam of, they were doing "I'm Going Down." I'm going down, 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 da, 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 da. And it was Keith and Ronnie Wood and Gary Clark Jr. and John Mayer. And they were all passing, trading off solos. And like John Mayer and Gary Clark, they're so good. They're just playing all these ridiculous, crazy solos. And Ron Wood's doing all this slide guitar stuff. And then it's Keith's turn. And Keith comes up there, and he just goes like this. And he walks back. And I was like, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. So I said, "Keith, I saw the trade-off of the solos, and like, you just went up there and you just stole the show by just playing a note." And he goes, "Well, everyone was playing so busy and doing all these crazy solos, I thought I would just pick one note and stick with it. But I just had to make sure it was a good one, man." So then we talk a little bit longer, and then Jimmy's like, "Hey, can you please, Keith, can you take a picture with my friend Chris?" He's like, "Oh, sure." He's like, "Well, wait a second. Let me stand to the left. That's my good side." "No, wait a second. I'm 75 years old. I don't have a good side." We take the picture. It's an awesome picture. And then he's got a pile of Keith Richards shirts in the corner. And he goes, "Hey, man, let me give you a shirt. What size are you?" And I said, "Oh, I'm a large." He goes, "Well, take a large for you and take an extra large and give it to your grandmother. I'm sure she'll know who I am." So I take the shirts, and I just like, "Thank you so much, Keith. Like, what a cool experience, and I appreciate it." "Yeah, no problem, man." So we go outside, and me and Jimmy are like super excited and like jumping up and down like little girls at a freaking Justin Bieber concert or whatever it may be. And I'm like, "Oh, this is great." And so I'm going to leave. So I'm going to go to the bathroom and go pee because I had to pee from being so excited. And I go in there and I'm peeing, and comes stand beside me, Keith Richards. And I was like, wow, I should talk to him more. And then I remember how awkward it is when people talk to me when I'm peeing. And they're like, "Hey, mate, Chris, Jericho, can I shake your hand?" You want to rethink that question? Are you sure? And I thought, you know what, I'm not going to bug Keith. I had my moment with Keith. I'm just going to leave it alone and just leave on this high, which I did. And the best thing of all was it was only 5:30 because Jimmy got me in there so quick, spent a good 15, 20 minutes with Keith. And that's it. So say thanks to Jimmy. I go past the green room and say, "See you later, Rodman." He's still telling the story about Kim Jong-il. Go back down to the car and zip back towards the Meadowlands in New Jersey. And I sent a picture of me and Keith to Vince, and he sent me a text back, which was a smiley face emoji. Who knew that Vince McMahon, billionaire, pioneer of the wrestling business, likes emojis, smiley faces? He also texted me. He would always text me, like, Vince, hey, I got an idea. I'll talk to you next week about it. And I would get a text back that just said CK. And I was like, what does that mean? I had to Google it. It means check. So my 75-year-old boss is now teaching me how to text. But he sent me the smiley face back, and I get back to the venue, and I go inside, and it's only 7 o'clock. I got plenty of time to spare, and I go look on the wall to see the order of the matches, and Vince had put my segment as number 10 on the show, which was really cool. So it was a good night. The night I got to meet Keith Richards with an assist from Jimmy Fallon and Vince McMahon. Someone asked me earlier about this guy I used to have with me that would come to the ring. His name is Ralphus. You guys want to hear the story of Ralphus? Yes. Let me ask you a question. I could go two ways right now. I can tell you the story of Ralphus, or I can tell you the story of the bad cow. Ralphus. Would you like to hear Ralphus? Yes. Would you like to hear bad cow? Yes. 7 people replied to both. What? I'll go with Ralphus. I'll go with Ralphus. Okay. So back in WCW, one day I showed up and there was a pay-per-view called Fall Brawl, and I had no match on it. And Terry Taylor was like, oh, you got a match, all right. Well, who's my match against? You're going to wrestle a midget Goldberg. And I was like, what? He goes, you're going to wrestle a midget Goldberg? I said, why? He goes, because it's funny. So this is when Goldberg was in his undefeated streak, and I go, Goldberg, I challenge you. And out comes this midget, kind of more of a dwarf Goldberg, I think. Like, he's kind of like this tall. So he comes in the ring, and I do the match, and I beat him, and it's all great. And so then it kind of started this ipso facto storyline where I kept challenging Goldberg. And it's funny because I saw Goldberg in the airport the next day. He's like, oh, I hope it was worth it, Jericho. I said, what? I hope it was worth it. What? Because I got people calling me, texting me about your little Goldberg segment, a little jokey Goldberg segment. I hope it was worth it, Jericho. I said, hey, man, it wasn't my segment. I didn't book the shit, okay? So just calm down. So then the idea would be that I was kind of challenging Goldberg. And Goldberg at the time, or still does, comes to the ring with a bastion of security with him. And I thought, well, I should probably do something like that. So there was all these guys like from the power plant, all these jacked up like students of wrestling. And I thought, well, I could use some of those guys. I want to use that guy. There was this guy who was a truck driver, and he was always around. He was always, hey, how you doing? Nice to see you. And he was a fat guy, and he was bald, and he had like these really weird teeth. There was like 2 teeth that stuck out of the side of his mouth that looked like candy corn. Like, you know candy corn? You guys have that here? Like, it looked like a pylon, like upside down, like just sticking out of the side of his teeth. And I was like, who is this guy? And that's the guy. Like, he was just the weirdest looking guy. And I was like, fuck, I want to use Ralphus. Sorry, let me rephrase that. I want to use this guy. So I went up to him. His name was John Riker. I bet you never knew that was Ralphus's real name. And I was like, hey, man, you want to do something with me on TV? He's like, sure. What do you want me to do? And I was like, just kind of walk to the ring with me like serious security guard. He's like, sure. And I said, would you mind wearing this white T-shirt if I cut the bottom of it off? Because he was really kind of fat. So his gut would hang out. He's like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. No problem. And so I took a marker and I wrote Jericho Personal Security, JPS, which if we would have sold those things, we probably would have sold like a dozen of them. And there was another guy backstage who looked like Kenny Powers, if you ever watched Eastbound and Down. Danny, what's his name? Danny Glover? What's his name? Danny McBride, that's it. Not Danny Glover, that's the guy from Lethal Weapon. Looks nothing like Danny McBride. And so he was the Jerichoholic Ninja. And I wrote a T-shirt for him, and they walked me to the ring. And this guy was so funny, Ralphus. He didn't have the name at the time. Actually, I got the name from, there's a really cheap horror movie from the 60s called Bloodsucking Freaks. And there's another little person who's like this drunken, murderous midget, and his name is Ralphus. He looks like Hall & Oates, but like a small Oats. Curly black hair, big stash, and his name was Ralphus. And I was really into the movie at the time, so I'm like, I will call him Ralphus. And people go, how's that Rufus doing? You ever talk to Rufus? It's not Rufus, it's Ralphus. Okay? So I said, listen, man, like, you want to come out with me to the ring every night? He's like, yeah, no problem. I'd love to. And here's how it was in WCW. You never had to ask permission to do anything. You just did it. If I just decided to walk to the ring with a fat guy with weird teeth and a half shirt in WWE nowadays, I'd get crucified. You can't just go out there and do that. I remember one time Chavo Guerrero and I were wrestling in Fargo, North Dakota, and we'd wrestled each other 100 times, and every time I was the heel and he was the babyface, and I just beat him. Every night, I just beat him. Just killed off this poor guy. And so finally I said to Terry Taylor, who was the booker, you got me beating Chavo again. Like, can we change it up a bit? Can he beat me? He's like, no, you'll beat him again. And this time, you'll break Pepe. And Pepe was this little wooden horse that he was riding around because he was crazy at the time. So, okay, so now I'm going to beat him and break his gimmick? So we're like, we can't do this. So we drove to Toys R Us. We bought a baseball bat and a giant horse head that put on the baseball bat and stuck the baseball bat underneath the ring. We did the match. I went to break Pepe. Then he went under the ring and grabbed Jose, which was Pepe's older brother. And hit me with it after the match. Can you imagine? Nobody knew that we were doing this. Nobody knew that we hit a baseball bat under the ring. And nobody knew that I was going to walk down to the ring with Ralphus, but he started getting over. And what I would do is I said, listen, you got to be serious. If people try and touch me, you say, don't touch them. Don't. Stop. But the guy didn't have an angry bone in his body, so whenever he would do it, he was laughing kind of like, stop it. Stop it. He'd wag his finger. Stop it. Stop it. And he started getting over as like this cult character. And I had a lot of heat at the time. I remember he would just start showing up at house shows. Like at live events. Like, I'm here to work. Like, where did you come from? I drove the truck to Chicago and then I drove here. Chicago's 4 hours away. He drove the lighting truck around, so he drove the TV and then drove over to the show. So I would be in the ring. I remember I went up to the corner and people are booing, like, boo, boo. And then I hear this big cheer coming from behind me. Boo, boo. I turn around and Ralphus is also standing on the second rope going like this. All right. All right. And I was like, Ralphus, come here. You can't get cheers from the people. You hate the people. Why? They're nice people. No, they're not. You hate them. Well, they're really nice. I'm like, listen. This is wrestling. You're playing a character. I know, my character's Ralphus. That's right, and Ralphus hates people. Why? They're nice people. So I realized this guy has no concept of what wrestling really is. And then, of course, as any booker will do, because he's popular, they start wanting to use him in matches. And I'm like, guys, he can't do anything. He doesn't know what to do. Oh, it's okay. How hard can it be? So I had a match against Hugh Morris, and Hugh Morris goes to the second rope for a moonsault, and Ralphus is supposed to hold his leg. Ralphus isn't even around. Hugh Morris is waiting. Does the moonsault. Afterwards, I look outside and I see Ralphus talking to some girls, some Ralphus groupies in the front row. And afterwards backstage, he's got a bouquet of flowers. I said, what the happened to you, man? You're supposed to grab his leg on the moonsault. He goes, well, I know, but the girls in the front row, they like me. They gave me flowers. And I was like, they did? Isn't that? Let me see those flowers. They smell nice, don't they? Idiot, and I hit him with the flowers. And another time, I'm in the dressing room, minding my own business, getting ready for a match, and Arn Anderson walks in. Hey, Jericho, you gotta take care of your boy. I said, what? He goes, your boy's outside in the truck, banging some rat. A rat is wrestling talk for a groupie, a female companion. Now, I've seen a lot of groupies and rats over the years, but you can imagine the type of rats that Ralphus was attracting. Another day, I'm getting ready for my match with Dean Malenko, and I'm putting my baby oil on. I look over in the mirror behind me. Ralphus is also putting baby oil on. Then I eventually went to the producers of the show, and I said, "Could you give Ralphus some money? Like, he's out there every week. Can you give him $500 or whatever?" And so they started paying him $500, and sometimes they forgot. I always go kind of help him out and get him his $500. And one day, it's actually the same day when he was putting on his baby oil, I came over and said, "Listen, I got to talk to you about something. When am I getting a contract?" I said, "What?" He goes, "Well, I need a contract. I've been on the show. I need a contract." I'm like, "Dude, contract? You're not getting a contract. There's no contract for you." And eventually, around the time I was leaving to go to WWE at the time, and I was like, wow, it'd be really cool. Like, Jericho shows up on Raw with Ralphus by his side. Like, I was really thinking that. Like, what the was I thinking? And I mentioned it to him one day. Like, "Hey, what do you think about going to WWE?" He's like, "I'm in. We got to get out of here. This place is losing it." Keep in mind, he's still driving the lighting truck around. And then a couple weeks later, he comes over and he goes, "So, when are we going to go to New York?" Now, New York is slang for WWE, old school wrestling talk. And I'm like, I never once ever called WWE New York to you. Where are you finding this out? Now he's all in the wrestling business. Like, kayfabe, brother. When are we going to New York? And I was like, we aren't going anywhere. So I went to New York, and then Ralphus, they ended up putting him in matches, and I think he ended up being the hardcore champion where Terry Funk beat the shit out of him. And I was like, this poor guy's going to have a heart attack. You know, and I thought if they would have put him with the luchadors, like these guys had kind of nameless faces, but if Ralphus was their manager, I mean, of course he would have everything up, but at least they would know his name and know somebody on the roster there, right? But years pass by, and I get a tweet. "Hey, I know John Riker." I'm like, "You do?" "I'd love to have John Riker on my podcast. Like, Ralphus, like, how cool would that be?" And I sent him an email, and he never got back to me. I got big league by Ralphus. That worked out good. The Ralphus stories. It was fun. So every year, I'm always traveling. We talked about, you know, rock and roll stuff and WWE stuff and wrestling and all this other stuff that I do, spoken word shows in front of the fine people of Manchester. Here you go. If I had the lighted jacket on, I'd turn it on right now. Pretend. You still paying attention? You're really watching this, aren't you? I'm going to give it back. I'm not going to steal it, I promise. But I like to do stuff for myself, and every year one of my favorite things to do is I go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which is always, they hold it in Cleveland or New York. And I know somebody that works at Rolling Stone magazine who puts on the show, and she is a fan of mine, so she gets me floor seats, and I go every year with my cousin Chad. So when you go on the floor, it's where all the bands and all the dignitaries sit. We don't have a chair down there because the seats cost $10,000 a pop. So we don't have anywhere to go, but they legally can't kick us out. So we stand over here, and a guard comes by, "You can't stand there." So then we go stand over here. The guy goes, "You can't stand there." So we just basically do this like a duck at a shooting range all night long. But the one year that really stands up for me was the year that Ringo Starr was inducted, and Paul McCartney was inducting him. And I've been like, God, I've been trying to meet Paul McCartney like for years. I'm a huge Beatles fanatic. I love the Beatles. I love McCartney. I love Ringo. I was like, I am going to meet Paul at some point tonight. I'm going to do it. And I realized, okay, we can't go anywhere, but whenever a band plays, everybody stands up. So Green Day was getting inducted, and when they started playing their set, everybody stood up. So I tell my cousin Chad, let's go. And something for all of you, if you ever want to try and sneak into somewhere that you're not supposed to be, just act like you're supposed to be there. And no one will ever question you. So we're walking kind of up here, going through. We kind of stand at a table for a bit and like, hey, how you doing, dude? What's going on? Hey, how are you? Like, the guy has no idea who I am. But he's like, hey, what's going on? What a great show, right? Yeah, it's a great show. And we keep moving through the crowd, and we finally get to the point. Standing right in front of me is Ringo, Paul, Olivia Harrison, and Yoko Ono. And they're all watching Green Day. And Green Day's playing a song called American Idiot. And it goes, down, hey! And everybody in the crowd's going, hey! Hey! And McCartney is losing it. He's going crazier than anybody. He's like, hey! Hey! And I'm like, oh, like he's really into Green Day. That's the icebreaker. That's the icebreaker. So they finish the set, everybody sits down, and Paul and his security guards start walking towards, I'm assuming, maybe the bathroom or wherever, to go backstage to avoid idiots like me trying to go up and talk to him. But I'm too much of an idiot. I'm a big idiot. I'm smarter than that. So he starts walking, and there's a line of tables in between us, and I start walking too. Because what's going to happen is I coincidentally bump into Paul McCartney. Like, oh, hey, Paul. The Green Day was awesome, weren't they? He's like, oh, they're great. They're great. I can't do a Liverpool accent. I'm not going to try. It's close to you guys. You know what he sounds like. He goes, oh, yeah, they were great. Like, what a great band. And I was like, yeah, man. I say, hey, Paul, I noticed that you got a security guard in front of you. If you need a security guard behind you to protect you from the ninjas, I'm available. And I'm thinking, ninjas? That's the best you could come up with? Protect you from the ninjas? That was supposed to be my forehead. And he looks at me and he goes, ninjas? He goes, okay, I'll keep it in mind. And he goes to walk away, and I'm like, Paul, high five! He gives me a high five. And I'm like, holy God, he just high-fived, man, it's ninjas and Green Day. I go with my cousin Chad, and we're super excited. I mean, I just met McCartney, it's great. So we had a couple drinks at the time, so we're like super excited, and we go to the bathroom. And we go inside the bathroom, and when we're in there, it's kind of a bathroom where there's like an area here, and there's like a wall, and then you go on the other side, and there's like stalls there. And we go inside, and this guy comes in, this really big guy wearing a suit with an earpiece. And he says, everyone has to leave. Yoko Ono's coming in. And we're like, he goes, no, I'm serious. Everyone has to get the here because Yoko Ono is coming in to go to the bathroom. Apparently, she wanted to go to the bathroom, and they wanted to clear out the men's bathroom. So everyone listens and leaves, and everyone walks out. And I'm just kind of standing there, and I realize, like, everybody's gone. It's just me. I'm going to hide in the stall. Why not? So I go inside the stall, and there's the toilet there. And you ever see, like, in a horror movie when, like, they're trying to hide from the killer, so they'll put one foot up on the edge of the toilet seat, and the other one on the toilet seat, they kind of crouch on the toilet seat like this? Well, that's me. And I crouch down, like, what the f*** am I doing? I got to get out of here. Just before I can go, I hear Yoko Ono walk in. And I'm not saying she sounded like this, but in my mind, she's like, okay, let's go bathroom. And she's with a friend. Okay, you go this side, I go that side. Have a good bathroom. Enjoy bathroom. And I'm in the middle, crouched on the toilet. And Yoko comes into the stall on this side. And I'm like, what the f*** is going to happen if her friend tries to come on this side? Thankfully, they wanted a buffer zone, a buffer stall. So the friend goes on this side. The toilet gods were with me that night. So I'm sitting, I'm texting my cousin Chad. I'm like, dude, like, I'm sitting here on the toilet, like crouching actually. And Yoko Ono's right beside me. He's like, oh, what are you doing? And then I hear like the sound of kind of clothing being unbuttoned. And the wall of the stall, I see the kind of this black part of her dress kind of peeking underneath the side of the stall. And I'm like, please let her be going pee. And she did. She did. Good flow. Healthy stream for an 80-year-old woman. This is not something you're going to hear every day, guys. Not a lot of people can give you an on-the-spot account of Yoko Ono's urinary functions. I can. Okay? So she finishes going pee, and you can hear the toilet paper thing going, and then I'm like, and she leaves the stall, and I'm just like, all right, like, it's now or never. So I open up, I put my foot down on the ground, open up the stall, walk out, I'm like, oh my gosh. I thought this was the men's bathroom. And she's looking at me, and I'm thinking, okay. How many f***holes over the last 50 years have hid in a bathroom stall or a closet or outside of a window and just happened to make a mistake of running into Yoko? She obviously knows that I'm full of shit. She knows I'm a creep. But she's still very nice. And I said, I thought this was the men's bathroom. She said, it is the men's bathroom. I just use men's bathroom. I was like, I'm so sorry. She goes, it's okay. So she goes to wash her hands in the sink, and I go to wash my hands, because I might be a creep, but I'm not a barbarian. And I wash my hands as she's washing hers, and when I'm finished, there's no towels on my side, and she has a stack of napkins on her side. And she goes, you don't have a towel. Your hand's wet. You can't have wet hands. You need dry hands. Take towel. And I'm like, she's yelling at me because she doesn't want me to have chafed and cracked dry hands. So I take one of Yoko's napkins and I dry my hand. Thank you very much, Yoko. Are you having fun tonight? Oh, it's so nice to see everybody. And I'm so happy for Ringo. I'm like, yeah, me too. Fuck, Ringo, good guy, good guy. And I dry off my hands. And then I'm like, well, have a good night, Yoko. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Have fun. Nice to you. And she leaves, and I walk around the corner and run into the f***ing human wall, and he's just staring at me with the look of death. And I'm like, dude, I have no idea what just happened. Crazy. So I walk out, and like, now I've got Paul, and I've got Yoko. This is the greatest night ever. And then we go to the after party. And at the after party, guess who's there? Paul McCartney. And he's sitting at a table with Joe Walsh from the Eagles, and they're hanging out. And I noticed that, like, it's really cool. People are watching, but then they all start approaching him. And then they start asking for autographs, and they ask for pictures. And I'm like, he might get uncomfortable with this. Like, I should probably go help him. I should go offer my services again. So I go up to him, I said, Paul, like, listen, if people start bugging you, like, I can help take care of you and get rid of them. He goes, who the f*** are you, man? And I'm like, I've heard that before. From another English person. He goes, are you a cameraman or are you a security guard? I'm like, cameraman? Like, what does he think? I work for TMZ or something? Like, no, I'm not a security guard. I'm Chris Jericho. And he goes, listen, if the ninjas bother me, I'll come call you. Until then, go away. And all I could think was, he remembered the ninjas!